My name is Linda Kessler, and I am 36 years old. I live in the small town of Crestwood, Virginia. I work in a field where regulations are paramount, and everyone is supposed to play by the rules. In my years of experience, I have seen both the right way to do things and the dark, shady corners that some businesses will turn to for profit. I am the kind of person who believes that doing the right thing is more important than climbing the corporate ladder. I pride myself on my integrity and my dedication to the law, but there was a time when my honesty nearly cost me everything. 5 years ago, I found myself working under a boss that I cannot even begin to describe without using the most colorful language. Her name was Karen Dipshit, and she was a nightmare wrapped in a suit. Every day was like walking through a minefield filled with regulations that she disregarded without a second thought. I remember clearly the moment it all fell apart for me. I had just discovered that she was cutting corners, bending rules, and putting our clients in dangerous situations for the sake of profit. After careful consideration, I decided to raise my concerns, hoping that someone would understand the gravity of the situation. Yet time and time again, I was met with dismissal. I heard the same phrase over and over again: "This is the way it has always been done." It was maddening, and it left me feeling powerless. I remember sitting in the office, torn between my loyalty to the company and my moral compass, which was screaming at me to take action. Despite my attempts to stop her from committing borderline criminal acts, I eventually made the difficult decision to quit. I knew I could not allow my name to become attached to that organization any longer. I packed up my things that day with a heavy heart but a clear conscience, hoping that karma would eventually catch up to Karen. Fast forward 5 long years, and I found myself in a different state working for a regulatory body that enforced the laws Karen had so blatantly ignored. I had moved on, or at least I thought I had. I threw myself into my new job, enforcing regulations and taking away businesses' licenses when they egregiously violated the laws. As fate would have it, I was soon to learn that the universe has a funny way of bringing things full circle. I received an unexpected email from my boss informing me that due to numerous consumer complaints and egregious issues, we were sending every able-bodied person to review Karen's business practices in a very direct, hands-on investigation. It was my chance to return to the scene of the crime, and I could not deny that a small thrill of excitement coursed through me at the thought. I spent the next 4 weeks combing through her records, eagerly searching for the inconsistencies and violations that I had been fighting against years ago. As I dove into her files, meticulously tallying up the fines she owed, I couldn't help but feel a delightful sense of revenge wash over me. I rediscovered my old written complaints and realized she had continued to misuse the same tricks, despite the years that passed. It was as if I had stumbled upon a treasure trove of evidence that could bring her empire crashing down. I felt empowered, methodically uncovering violations and observing the sheer magnitude of her disregard for regulations. As I trained her staff on how to actually comply with the rules, they were incredibly grateful for the knowledge I provided them, as if I were some sort of hero sent to rescue them from the chaos that was Karen. Each day, I immersed myself deeper into this newfound role, feeling her wrath from 5 years ago slowly dissipating with every violation I exposed. I often thought back to our old conversations, especially the moment when she warned me that I was at risk of losing my career if I didn't fall into line. Instant gratification surged through me as I realized that Karen's days were numbered. Week after week, I gathered more and more evidence against her as nothing felt sweeter than the thought of wreaking havoc on a woman who had so thoroughly wronged me, a woman who thought she was untouchable. However, while thriving in the moment, I realized I had to tread carefully. What if she discovered my identity? What if she tried to pit the organization against me one more time? The stakes were significant, and I had to remain cautious as I executed my plan. Eventually, the moment of reckoning had arrived. I prepared my report, presenting it to my superiors. I had no idea how this confrontation would play out, but my heart raced. This was more than just about the lost years or the anger I felt. This was about justice. As I flipped through the pages detailing Karen's countless violations and the direct impact they had on the community, I remembered the fear she instilled within me. I presented my case to the regulatory board, and in the hushed room, all eyes were on me. I poured my heart into the presentation, detailing every infraction, every complaint, and every corner Karen had cut in an effort to save a buck. The tension in the air was palpable as I finished laying the truth bare before my colleagues. I watched their expressions shift from disbelief to concern as they shared in my discovery. After what felt like an eternity, the board made their decision. They voted unanimously to revoke Corinne's business license. It seemed almost poetic. She had spent years instilling fear and contempt in me, all the while creating her own downfall. As much as I wanted to celebrate right then, my heart was instead filled with a somber determination. I realized the satisfaction I gained from her downfall was more complex than I initially thought. As I walked out of that building, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I had confronted my past, and at long last, found closure. I pictured Corinne's face when she learned the news. It was a profound moment of realization. I could now focus on my new life and my new responsibilities. I took a breath of fresh air, thankful that I had weathered the storm and emerged stronger than before. My life had altered dramatically in those 5 years, but I had grown and transformed in ways I never would have imagined. I was no longer the scared employee hiding in Corinne's shadow. I was now an enforcer, a protector of regulations, and a champion for those who feared the likes of her. As I drove through the quiet streets of Crestwood, I felt a sense of fulfillment washing over me, ready to tackle the next challenge. But a small part of me knew that somewhere, her empire crumbled, the cold dish of revenge was served, and karma had finally come to collect.